Eleonora, this is Jen. I think we're at the top of the hour. Since this webinar is recorded, I think we're okay to start. If you wanted to start with the housekeeping, and then we can begin.
Thank you, Jen. This is Eleonora from the Secretariat. Welcome, everyone, especially community members who are here to learn about the workshop submission process. I know that we also have among us several MAG members, not just the ones who are going to be presenting to you today. So thank you, all MAG members, for your support in being here today. As the chair mentioned, as Jen mentioned, this meeting is being recorded. It will be made public. The purpose of the recording will be to inform anyone who could not make it to this particular webinar of the good practices for submitting a workshop. So yeah, so anyone who has missed it can still benefit from the learnings here. Other than that, uh, nothing housekeeping wise. But yeah, of course, myself as secretariat, I'm always here in the background if there are any doubts about the records from this meeting.
Thank you very much, Eleonora. Now for the official welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Jennifer Chung. I have the pleasure of serving as MAG Chair for this year's IGF Multi-Stakeholder Advisory Group. This is a webinar really to demystify how the MAG 2026 will be looking at the workshop proposals that are coming in. Of course, everyone hopefully very busy preparing for all of this as the call for proposals is currently open and will be closing at the end of this month. And Eleanor will be kind to put the details in the chat and probably will make another reminder at the end of this webinar. We do have a few slides, a slide deck prepared thoroughly by a group of MAG members. I will not go into a lot of introduction of them individually. They can give their introductions as they take the floor, but hopefully after this, we will have half of the time going through these very important pointers in the slide deck that we'll be showing you. And then we're leaving half of the time of this scheduled webinar, especially for community members and others who have questions for the MAG members, who have questions for the Secretariat, and hopefully we'll be able to round that off. And as Eleonora mentioned, this is going to be recorded and being made available on the IGF website for anyone who's not able to catch this live. So without further ado, I'd like to request, I guess, the sharing of these slides. If Eleonora, you could help us do that. And I will hand off the very first presenter, which I believe is one of our first year MAG members, Taiwo. And if you could introduce yourself and then go into the slides. Thank you very much. Passing the floor now to you, Taiwo.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I hope everyone can hear me. This is afternoon on my end, so good day, everyone. My name is Taiwo Romalaro. I'm from Nigeria. I'm a MAG member and representing the Nigerian government. So I'm going to be covering the mandatory requirements for workshop proposal that we will be accepting leading up until the IGF 2026 conference. And so the mandatory requirements, I'll start with, I believe the slides are being shared. I don't see that on my screen. Yes, thank you. All right, then, thank you. So yeah, we'll talk diversity. This is really important. Like I said, these are mandatory requirements, and so these are important to have. We need to have these. So we're looking for proposals that reflect diversity across all the stakeholder groups that the IGF is known to spotlight yearly. We're ideally looking for diversity. We're looking for proposals that reflect inputs from as much as possible from the government, the private sector, the academia, the technical group as well, and also from the private sector. I don't know if I mentioned that as well, but we really want that sort of diversity across all the stakeholder groups that are usually represented. Then we also want diversity in viewpoint as well, which make for high quality conversation. We're also looking for diversity across genders, then age, looking as much as possible to accommodate youth and have their participation as well. And we're also looking for representation across different geographic regions and also no discrimination based on disability. And at least for proposals, we expect at least two speakers who are of a different gender from the rest of the speakers. So when you look through the website and you look for guide on proposal submissions and all of that, you definitely come across the provision that says that we're looking to have a minimum requirement of at least 3 speakers on site. And more on gender now, we're expecting 2 of them to be of a different gender from the rest of the presenters. And then for on-site participation, we're also looking for a minimum requirement, like I said, of at least 3 speakers on site, including the on-site moderator. The IGF will, of course, provide session organizers with the virtual link for online speakers and participants. And rooms at the venue of the conference in Kenya will already be technically configured to accommodate online speakers and participants alike. And all sessions will have a technical support person to assist them in the room on site. I think this is where I go to. Oh, yeah. Then the online moderator and the rapporteur are required for each session. For the speakers present, I believe I did touch on this earlier, but yes, a minimum of 3 provisionally confirmed speakers are required to be present. And these speakers should, of course, have been previously contacted by the proposer and must have expressed their interest to participate and their intent to do so. Any change in the speaker names, the speaker in particularly must be communicated to the IGF ahead of time. And we're also expecting, we've also placed a limitation there on the number of proposals that can be submitted by each submitter. So we're expecting to see a maximum of 3 proposals per submitter. Yeah, so that's it for the mandatory requirements. I'll be passing the mic over to the next presenter, whom I believe is Elena. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Taiwo. Just took me a moment to find my unmute button. So I will just say a few words about the use of AI in proposals. I have been with the IGF Secretariat for quite a long time, more than a decade now, which ages me a little bit. But having admitted that, this is really the first time that the MAG, in discussing the call for session proposals, has had a discussion about AI use, potential AI use in workshop submission proposals. And I think this speaks to the increasingly important role or prominent role that AI is playing in all of our lives, and also a sense of realism around it, of realistic expectations. We know that AI is being used by a lot of people for for a lot of writing and work purposes, and even casual email writing. So I will just summarize by saying that use of AI in workshop proposals is not prohibited. It's not banned. However, we as Secretariat, as MAG, would like to see that AI is not being relied on for the substance of proposals that are being submitted. And we have specific language on this in the call for session proposals page. And I'm just going to read verbatim what the key sentence there is. AI tools may be used to assist with drafting or language refinement, but session proposals should reflect the organizer's own ideas, expertise, and policy questions. So I think everyone understands the spirit of this language. We cannot control nor prohibit use of AI in the proposals, but we want to see that what you're submitting really comes from you. And we also understand that, AI is being, used more and more by everyone, especially for things like language refinement. And the final note on this, all workshop proposals are made public after they're submitted. Proposers agree to this once they complete the workshop form. So whatever you have put in writing in that proposal will be made public for all to see. So just an additional consideration when you're putting together the language for your proposal. I will stop here and hand it back over to Taiwo for the next portion.
Right, indeed. Moving on, just a minute, everyone. Okay, so now I'm going to be covering the general information that we expect to be submitted with your proposals. And first on the list is the proposal. The proposer definitely expects information about the proposer, the affiliation that you have, which of the multi-stakeholder groups are you representing, other speakers, yes, representing, and we'll definitely expect that. Then the organizer's information. Would also like to see an alignment with sustainable development goals, and an invitation to local hosts, Kenya organizations, since the conference will be holding in Kenya. Have you invited any organizations to collaborate, to participate? Would like to see that. Then would also like to see an alignment with other intersectional work of the IGF. That's that about the general information. Every other detail will be covered by other presenters. I'm happy to hand over now to Sumar. Thank you.
Thank you, Taiwo. This is Sumer from Pakistan. I represent Government Stakeholder Group. I will be presenting in this slide. My slide is for description. The description, not policy question. Secretariat, can you please flash description? Yeah. So I'm here going to present what is expected in the description part of the proposal form. So it should be a short description. First and foremost, it should be providing what is the inspiration behind your proposal, what was the idea that provided you the foundation or framework to bring this topic and proposal forward for this session. So this can be any best practice that you have found has a concrete impact in any society or in any sample population group. Can be any new knowledge or the pilot that you want to share through this platform to the audience using the Internet Governance Forum platform. Then also a word about what is the conceptual level of that that proposal that would indicate whether you are trying to target audience, which is basic level audience like the new ones to the debate on internet governance, or you're targeting the audience that is well versed with the topics and the policy debates around internet governance, like policymakers, civil society activists, academia, etc. So if you have clarity about what is the conceptual level of your proposal that you are putting forward, you can also briefly put some words in your description part about it. Then diversity element that has been covered already in the previous slide. Um, as a general guide, your description should reflect what diverse opinions and views you are going to bring to the debate during your session. Diversity of views can be from diverse genders, regions, stakeholder groups, etc. Be mindful because description part will be appearing very in the initial part of your performa or the form about the proposal. So if it doesn't reflect a strong diversity, it can already create an impression about the proposal. So weak diversity can sink an otherwise strong proposal as well. Then in your description, you should also indicate how your proposal is going to contribute to continuing the multi-stakeholder dialogue about this topic. A strong proposal poses a genuine open question for the room so that they continue their multi-stakeholder discussion on it. So this much enough for the description. And now I would invite our next presenter to take on from here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sumer. This is Jen Chung again. We will go through this slide on policy questions. I think a lot of newcomers, a lot of people who are new to the IGF workshop proposal process and application always have a good question about this because policy questions, you see the 3 bullets here. I'm not going to read it out there, but it really needs to be framing the direction of where this proposed session is going. The third one indeed is quite important because later on in the proposal form, there is a section that indicates the session's expected outcomes. And when you're thinking about formulating your policy questions, it really should be tied very much to where you're trying to drive that dialogue, discussion, conversation, and session to. It is kind of an art and not a science to be able to frame it in a way that is broad enough to allow for substantive and diverse and vibrant discussion without overly narrowing it to drive it to a very narrow outcome. The second point is also very important. You need to convey exactly what the policy problem you are trying to address. Other MAG members will be taking a look and walking you through format as well, which is the next one. But of course, your policy question that you formulate or policy questions you formulate will also benefit from what format you will be then using it to drive this conversation through. There is one very important point as well. Why are you bringing this proposal to the Internet Governance Forum? It needs to have relationship to that as well. Are the issues you're trying to address global, regional, national, even local relevance? And here you see a small box there that gives you a good example, kind of a breadth of example of what good policy questions are. Later on in the slide deck, and of course on the IGF website, you'll also be able to review past successful policy, policy questions in past successful proposals that were already executed at previous editions of the IGF. I think those are also good frames of reference for people looking to frame the policy questions in their application. I'm going to pass the floor now to Saba, who will bring you through the next slide.
Thank you very much, Jen. Hello, everyone. I'm Saba, MAG member from the technical community based in Ethiopia. So I'll take you through the session format quickly. And this application asks you to choose between 3 room layouts. First, roundtable, classroom, and theater, and all these are room configurations. A roundtable places participants around tables facing one another, and the classroom layout consists of rows of tables and chairs as well facing the front of the room. and the theater layout also consisting of rows of seats facing a single focal point, such as a stage or a podium. And on the duration, the proposal from allows organizers to request either 30 minutes, 60 minutes, or 90-minute session. And the important consideration here is to request only the amount of time that your agenda genuinely requires, and also to explain why that duration is actually appropriate for the activities that you are proposing. And on the engagement with audience, and the goal is here for all participants, whether on-site or online, to meaningfully engage in an equal way in these IGF sessions. And the Secretariat, as well as the host country, will provide you with the virtual platforms here, for example, Zoom, and as well as technical support. And this hybrid section also asks how you, as organizer, will actually design the experience where, you know, both on-site as well as online participants can engage on an equal term. And you can see some notes in the box as well. Here first, the interaction between on-site and online speakers and attendees, which is the proposal should show how online participants will be brought to the discussion throughout the session. And second, ensure the best possible experience for online as well as on-site participants. Here, your proposal should demonstrate that, you know, online participants are active participants in the discussion. And third one is the complementary online tools or the platforms that you plan to use to in order to increase participation or interaction during the session. And here, if you choose to use any tools, you can explain how they could improve the interaction, because, you know, the MAG is interested in whether these tools could actually support meaningful participation. So now I will give the floor to the next presenter, to Jennifer. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Saba. And here we have before us our overarching theme for this year, the IGF in Nairobi, Kenya. It is governing the internet in the age of intelligence, our shared responsibility. So this is actually quite a wide, but very timely overarching theme. I think we've actually received some questions from the community and, of course, long-term community members, as well as new community members who have had previous experience in submitting workshop proposal, ask us, oh, what are the sub-themes for this year? And the short answer is, this year the sub-themes are going to be curated from all of the community input that we're going to receive in the workshop proposal submission process. So 2026 MAG will be taking a cue, even broader from the community, to look at the heat map, to look at what it is that the community wants to talk about this year, especially given this being an inaugural year for the permanent mandate that the Internet Governance Forum now has. The 2026 MAG will be looking at all of this input and making a curation and curate a coherent agenda at the end of the day. And we're hoping very much that community members will be telling us what it is that they hope to discuss at this now permanent IGF in 2026. So really, community members really have free reign. We know that there are many different topics right now that is pertinent. I think the overarching theme does address a lot of the very top of mind items, but of course, we all know that there are enduring items that in internet governance, in the digital policy processes that we need to address. So we look very much forward to hearing from you in your proposals. I'll now pass over to our next presenter, who is Peace, who will take you through the evaluation criteria.
Chair for the floor. Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. My name is Peace Oliver Moge. I'm from the civil society. I'm a MAG member in my. So thank you for the previous presenters who have already talked about all these elements that the MAG will be evaluating. So I will just go through them as you have already understood what we require for each of these parts. elements of the evaluation. So one, the proposed topic, just to say that all these areas have a word cap. So the topic also has a word cap, and the MAG expects that your topics will be relevant to the IGF 2026 overarching theme. It should also focus on the evolving relationship between artificial intelligence and other forms of intelligence, the future of the internet, and their governance. And as the MAG chair has broken it down, we don't have the sub themes, but this is a very rich overarching theme. So that will take 20% of the marks that the MAG will give for each proposal that the MAG will be evaluating. And then the workshop content, which takes really a large percentage of the marks that you get. That this the MAG would looks forward to have proposals that are aligned. First of all, it should be aligned to the proposed topic that you already put forward. So we will be accessing its quality, the description, the alignment, how it's the plans, how it presents concrete plan, and how it provides innovations and best practices and diverse perspectives. Diversity having been mentioned also before, that it's very much valued diversity in perspective. So the workshop content will really take a big percentage of the marks that you get in your proposals. And then the next one is the policy questions that we've also gone through. There are also examples of the policy question. It has to really be formatted very well. It should be forward-looking and should be timely, should be relevant, it should lead to the outcomes, should be still aligned to the content that you put, to the discussions, to the outcome that is expected from the discussion. And that will take 15%. And Chair, if I may say that these percentages might be revised. So just to give you an idea of how the MAG apportions marks for the different parts of the proposal. We can go to the next slide, please. Next, please. Thank you. And then we have engagement and hybrid. This was also discussed in detail, what the MAG expects, how you plan to interact between the participants that are joining you online and the participants that are joining on site, the rapporteurs, the online moderator and the on-site moderators, the speakers that are joining both online and offline. We really encourage you to be innovative and share with us how you plan to ensure that both online and on-site participants are engaged. Yeah. So that's something that the MAG will give about 10%. So you should really pay attention to all these segments that we are putting up. And then diversity, diversity, as Taiwo mentioned in at the beginning, we're looking at gender, we're looking at stakeholder groups, we're looking at region, we're looking at age, diversity in all that, persons with disability, minority groups. So your proposal should be able to have all this. So the MAG will be looking out for this. Does this proposal really, are the speakers coming from different regions, or do you have only speakers from one region? The gender, the perspectives, are they different? So this is the diversity. It's very holistic diversity that the MAG will be looking at, and this carries 20%. So you can see how this is important to the MAG. So when you put your proposals together, you should ensure that you will take this into consideration. As someone who has been in the MAG for years and evaluated proposals, I just want to say that most times you will find that proposals will do very well in other areas. And then when it comes to diversity or when it comes to engagement or policy questions, they really lose marks a lot. So when you're putting together your proposals, ensure that you have taken care of all these the segments of the proposals to ensure that you get all these marks. And we encourage the new proposals, newcomers to really put in quality proposals for us. Thank you, Chair, and I think I will give the floor to the next speaker, who is Lito.
Thank you, Peace, and thank you everyone before me. This is Lito Ibarra from El Salvador. I'm a MAG member from the private sector. And as you have heard, this is the first IGF, the 21st, but the first under the resolution of General Assembly of the United Nations to make it this a permanent forum. So we all would like to see a very good IGF, full with content, full with new ideas, provocative ideas. So I will kind of finish our presentation with these tips or with these reflections, if you will, about what you have heard through my colleagues in this presentation. Those are the formal things, aspects that you need to cover in your proposals, but we will also like to see rich, diverse, innovative, and provocative arguments, opinions, and views. There was a question, or there is a question in the chat from Jeffrey, and sure, we are going to receive many proposals that may look similar, and it will be a hard time for us to decide, to evaluate those proposals. But our advice is to that you think hard and come up with new innovative approaches, maybe to all topics, but innovative approaches, provocative arguments, and so on. We would like to see also prospective analysis, looking ahead in time. We have faced very fast development in technology, very new effects or consequences of the use of this technology in humans. And of course, many of us are concerned what will happen to our next generations and so on. So you may think again and try to look into the future and try to propose workshop thematics around these with very creative perspectives. We would like to see also engaging and creative discussions that naturally invite the audience to participate. If you propose and develop some issues that you foresee that this will get the audience to pay attention and to follow the discussions and to mainly participate in the discussions, that would be a very good proposal. We would like to all you to see to leave the attendance to your proposals during the IGF, wanting to know more about the topic development and dialogue. Take this dialogue, take this topic to their region, to their countries, and so on, to their communities, and keep on discussing of what you have proposed. So, and we would like to, for lack of better words, to plant the need to be continued, like a chapter or a series that you want to follow more. You want to hear more about this. So if you get to do this, I think you will have very good chances to have your proposal in the IGF, and we will be happy to attend to those workshops during the IGF. So to finalize, let's go to the next slide, please. We have put up here, yes, some relevant documents. Some of those have been already put into the chat. These are relevant documents in the web that you can take a look at. Of course, the announcement of the 21st annual meeting, the workshop submission and review process, as we have tried to describe it here during this webinar, and finally workshop proposal form that includes everything that you have heard about in this webinar. So with that, I thank you all for your attention. I will give back the floor to Jennifer as our MAC chair to moderate the questions or comments that some of you may have. Otherwise, we appreciate your attendance. Back to you, Jen.
Thank you very much, Lito. Thank you very much, MAG members, for getting through a really comprehensive introduction to the workshop proposal process, the criteria that MAG members will be looking at. There is, of course, the preliminary weighting that we have assigned to each of those particular sections. And of course, the MAG members are still currently deciding and also finalizing that. It still gives the community a good idea of what we're looking at. I'm noticing that there is a question in the chat from Jeffrey. I think Lito did answer that, but I'd like to touch on it as well. Of course, there could be similar topics as we do see every year. The MAG does see a lot of that every year, but topic, of course, is not the only criteria that the MAG looks at. In fact, I think Peace very kindly walked us through the different sections that the MAG members will be looking at in detail to differentiate which proposal makes it through a very competitive process. And I think the tips that Lito has mentioned at the end there certainly would be helpful for you to really think about as you craft and build your proposal for submission for this year. I will pause to see if there are any hands. Please, if you have a question and you are okay to take the floor, you can use the raise hand button and I will acknowledge and pass you the floor. If you are not able to speak your question out loud, we also welcome you to type it in the chat so we can read that out loud into the record and also attempt to answer. I will give it a pause just so people might be thinking about some questions right now, contemplating putting their hand up or even indeed typing in the chat box. So I'll leave it a little bit more time. Certainly, this will not be the only opportunity for you to, I guess, ask questions of the MAG, ask questions of the Secretariat. I'm wondering if Eleonora could also post in the chat the, I guess, the general email inbox that people can also reach out to the Secretariat if they have questions. I now see there is a hand from Omar Farouk. The floor is now yours.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving me the floor. So, hi everyone, my name is Umar Farooq from Bangladesh, and I work at the intersection of digital governance, AI, and sustainable development, serving as a global youth representative for a youth coordinator for the UN Internet Governance Forum. So last year, I contributed to the IGF policy networks representing global youth perspectives, and I'm hoping to continue this year as well. And during my work with the policy networks, one question came to my mind that I would like to ask the Secretariat. There have been views regarding the use of personal AI note-taking tools such as Read.ai and Otter AI during IGF meetings. So some say that this kind of personal AI note-taking tools are not allowed by the IGF Secretariat, while some says it is they are allowed. So could you please clarify the Secretariat's current position, and are participants allowed to use these AI assistants for personal note-taking while attending sessions or to review discussions later if they are unable to attend due to any emergency situation? So it would also be helpful to know the policy for the upcoming annual IGF. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question, Omar. So what I can tell you is what the policy is now, how it stands at the moment. And this is, by the way, not just a policy that we had enforced during the annual meeting, but we apply it to all of our meetings, all of our Zoom calls, all of the meetings that we have leading up to the annual meeting. So we don't outright prohibit the use of these tools. However, they are strongly discouraged. And what we do is if we see that one of them is in the Zoom room, in the virtual platform being used, we ask meeting participants whether they would permit for that tool to be used or not. and we leave it up to them. But it's not an automatic prohibition, and our position is discouragement of the tools. This could be something that evolves, as AI is always evolving and as these tools become more popular. But this is the policy we have in place now.
Thank you very much, Omar, for the question and Eleonora for the answer. It seems with the reaction of the shiny heart from Omar, I think you have answered his question there. I do see several comments and questions in the chat. I also see a hand from Emmy. So I'll go first to the hand and then we'll take the questions in the chat. So Emmy, the floor is now yours.
Thank you, Chair. Hello, everyone. It's Emi Okwi. I work with Center for Multilateral Affairs. I thank you, the MAG team, for very clear guidelines to these proposals. I think I would like to know how the MAG team will ensure that the newcomers' proposals make it to the IGF. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emmy, for the question. If I understood you correctly, I think my audio had a small blip. Your question was, how do the proposals get to the IGF? If that is your question, I think Eleonora has already posted the link to the call for session proposals. It is currently out. There is a form that will, bring you through all the different aspects that we have gone through during this, I guess, introductory webinar. And if you have further questions, of course, you can reach out to the Secretariat, or if you have questions for the MAG, the Secretariat can also direct those questions to us and we'll get you an answer. If you can come back and say if that was actually your question, happy to answer further if it isn't. Thank you very much, Emmy. I see a thumbs up here. I'm now going to take the questions I see in the chat, and after that, I will come to Bonaventure. So there is a question on the chat, several questions on the chat. The first one from Tinuade. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. The question seems to be, thank you, where there are similar interventions, what becomes the differentiator? In the event that a physical attendee, speaker, cannot make it, how many days' notice is required by the Secretariat? I will attempt to answer some of it. And of course, I see Lito's hand up, and I think he will probably help me with part of this question. So I will take the second part of your question about a physical speaker. I think in the workshop a submission form, there is a requirement for and a specific amount of the speakers being on site because it is important for us to not have a fully virtual session that is being conducted at the IGF. There is no specific requirement about days notice, but of course, as soon as you know that there is a change, we would very much appreciate that you let us know pretty much immediately. And this not only goes for those who have passed through as successful workshop proposals, we would also appreciate as we are going through the evaluating process after your submission, if anything does change, to let us know as soon as possible. I will now go to Lito, and I think he will try to attempt the first part of your question.
Hi, thank you, Jen. Thank you, Tinual, for the questions. Yes, we often receive, because I've been in the MAP for a few years now, receive proposals that look similar or take a similar topic in general, but that's why we are insisting on you to think of creative ways and creative aspects that may come from, for instance, from the diversity of the speakers, diversity of the regions, and so on. So you can include in your proposal something that will make it a natural, if you will, differentiator. So that we have been looking at these proposals in the past, and sometimes we are amazed, gladly surprised that this is a new approach, this is a new methodology, this is a new I don't know, thinking about this that may be an old topic, but something new that has been done. So that will be the natural differentiator for us. After we evaluate with the criteria piece showed us, we get together in groups and still further discuss the proposals and we say, okay, remember this proposal has this, something innovative, something new. So we think this could make it, and so on. So you are very key. I mean, you as proponents are very key to help us find the differentiator of each proposal. So that is our invitation to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lito. I hope that has answered the question. There is one more. I will take one more from the chat. I see there's quite a lot, and then I'll come to you, Bonaventure. Thank you very much for your patience. So I did notice that I'm scrolling down because it's a very, very active chat from Fernanda. She had several questions, so I'll start the first one and then I'll come to the hand I see in the room. Fernanda says, since this year's sub-themes will be curated from the submissions themselves, how will the MAG assess the 20%? I think it might be 25. We'll see what happens there. On topic relevance, the proposals are expected to explicitly frame their issue in relation to AI, or can a topic be relevant to the overarching theme without AI being its entry point? Again, I will attempt to first answer, and I do invite MAG members to jump in and supplement. Indeed, the overarching theme is about the age of intelligence, but we are not specifying that it is artificial intelligence, even though that is probably a very natural assumption that everyone wants to make here. Topic is not only relevance, it is, I guess, key to looking at the overarching theme. I think both Lito, Peace, myself, and other MAG members have mentioned it is a broad overarching theme, but many of the ideas, many of the issues, many of the topical things that are enduring across the years that we've talked about at IGF do fit quite well in this timely overarching theme. So I wouldn't worry too much about having all of the topic relevance being in relation to artificial intelligence. That is certainly not the intention of this MAG at all. The intention of us trying to innovate this time is to allow the community even wider, I guess, leeway and creativity in coming up with your proposals. I think you should probably be emphasizing on the innovative topic. I think in the tips that Lito has mentioned, especially in the last slide, that should give you some guidance. Hope that answers that question. If not, of course, PAG members, please feel free to come in. And now I'll come to the hand that I've been very patiently waiting. Bonaventure, please go ahead. You have the floor.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm Bonaventure Saturday, Research Manager at Policy based here in Uganda. This has talked about diversity and Lita has also highlighted on it. My question is about language. If I have various languages from regions in the sessions, does language affect the session? What's the preferred language for the sessions to be applied for? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bonaventure. And I think this could also be a secretariat question, but we will be receiving all the proposal submissions in English. Eleonora, if you would like to supplement or just reconfirm.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jen. So I can definitely confirm that proposals must be sent in English. And then for the holding of the session, we have made it possible for session organizers in the past to request on an ad hoc basis, however, at their expense, interpretation services for their sessions. So it would technically be possible to have other languages featured in a session, but the organizers would unfortunately have to bear the cost of that.
Thank you very much, Eleonora. Bonaventure, I hope that answers your question. There's a thumbs up, so I'm very glad that that is the case. There are several questions in the chat, so I'm going to read out the next few, 3 to 4, I think is what I see. And MAG members, please feel free to put your hand up if you would like to answer. The next question I see in the chat comes from Elizabeth. Elizabeth says, "Hello all, greetings from Berlin. I work for a feminist organization on tech-facilitated gender-based violence, and I was wondering how strict the gender diversity component is, because there is basically no men and very few non-binary people working in our field. So I was wondering how strict the gender diversity requirement is." I see a hand from Lito. Lito, please go ahead.
Elizabeth, for your question is very interesting because we have discussed this in the MAG as a requirement, and yes, I have to say it's a hard stop requirement. We want gender diversity, and I'm sure you will find some men like myself. I work and I believe very much in this the topic of gender balance and so on. So I'm sure you will find some men or some non-binary people that can join you in the panel, in the speakers, whatever topic you are going to present, and we look forward to looking at you. But I mean, at your proposal. But as I said, I have to say it's a hard stop requirement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lito. This is Jen. I will supplement this with, I guess, an offer of resources. There is a resource list that is available on the IGF website. If you do require some, I guess, additional resources for speakers that may match the profiles that you're looking at, that is available to you. Eleanor, if you could probably drop that link in the chat as well. Of course, the MAG and the IGF Secretariat is very happy to try to assist if there are any other questions regarding the criteria. I'm aware of the time. We have 8 minutes, and there are several questions, so I'll go through them all, and MAG members, please feel free to put your hand up if we would like to answer. The next question, I see that several have been answered on the chat. From Fernanda, there was a question about if there's a limit to any proposals one person can appear as organizer or speaker, and does that appearing in more than one session affect how each is evaluated? I believe Saba has already answered this question in the chat, but I will read this out loud into the record. The answer is there's a limitation of 3 proposals per submitter or per organizer. There is a question from Gloria, and the question is, if 2 high-quality proposals cover similar topics but approach them from different perspectives, is there room for both to be accepted, or is there a preference for selecting only one? And I'll read this last, there's not a last, there's quite a few more, so I'll read through a few more and then we'll try to answer them as well. There's a question from Arda about would it be okay to have a mix of newcomers and oldies? There's already several thumbs up, and I'm assuming that is the short answer to yes, of course, we would love to have newcomers, new blood, new perspectives, as well as those who have, I guess, a longer institutional expertise and knowledge. It would be really good to have that as well. There is a question from Gertrude, and actually that's not a question, it really is a comment from Gertrude. Gertrude says a proposal that is rejected a previous year may be relevant this year. Indeed, that is the case, and therefore simply it cannot be rejected simply because it has already been presented or I guess already been proposed or submitted. I think that is definitely the case there, especially if you are able to adjust and update to the requirements and of course under the overarching theme of this year. I do see that there is one more question left, and there's like 2 open questions to be answered. One question from Adoli. The question is, will the IGF accept or consider fully virtual event proposals from organizations that cannot attend in person or send in a representative to meet the physical presence requirement? Saba, you have a hand up. I'm wondering if you'd like to address this question that is open from Adoli or other questions. And I think there's also an open question from I don't remember if there which other open question, but I'll go to you, Saba.
Thank you very much, Jen, and thank you all for those questions. Mine is specifically the question from Gloria. I just wanted to clearly reflect on that, which is if two high-quality proposals cover similar topics but approach them from different perspectives, is there a room for both to be accepted, or is there a preference for selecting only one? My answer would be yes, because there can be a room for both, provided that they are actually showing a genuinely different in terms of objective, in terms of perspective, format, or any kind of value that they would like to bring. And during the MAG review process, we don't look only at the title or only on the description or only on the broad topic. We also consider facts such as the policy questions being addressed, the agendas, the stakeholder diversity, regional representation, and how the discussion could actually contribute to the overall IGF program. And these were clearly stated by my other MAG fellows in the previous presentations. And so if two proposals appear very similar, the MAG may encourage organizers to merge their proposals or coordinate where appropriate. And so my advice would be, I think rather than trying to cover a broad topic, I think it's good to clearly articulate or clearly state what makes your session unique and why it adds something that other discussions may not. I hope this answers your questions. Over to you, Jen.
Thank you very much, Saba. I hope that answers Gloria's question there. I see that others have also answered similarly to what you have mentioned, Saba, on the chat as well. Lito, your hand is up. Did you want to respond to Gloria's question or try to answer Adoli's question?
Neither. I would like to refer to Arda's question. Will it be okay to have a mix of newcomers and oldies? Of course, yes. Furthermore, it will be encouraged from our side because we need to prepare the new generations, the next generations. So having experienced newcomers in the same panel, I think it's very beneficial for all of us. So I not only accept, we will not only accept those proposals, but encourage them to have new people, new blood in the panels, in the speakers. So yes, welcome to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lito. I will take the question from Adoli, and I think we're nearing the end of the webinar, so I'll try to get an answer for that question as well as yours. Omar, you have the floor.
Thank you so much for giving me the floor again. So I have one additional question regarding youth participation. So will there be any dedicated funding or travel support for youth participants, especially from Global South or youth-led session organizers at the upcoming IGF? Last year, our team had to withdraw a proposed youth focus session because we could not meet the in-person participation requirement after our funding application was unsuccessful. So it would be very helpful to know whether funding opportunities will be available before submitting session proposals so that we can realistically plan our participation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Omar. Actually, your question is very similar on the same vein as Adoli's question. And I'll hand this first to the Secretariat because there is definitely a travel support call that is not out yet, I believe, but there will be more information on that. And I think it's specifically also dedicated to participation from the Global South. I'll hand this first over to Eleonora for any details she may be able to share at this point.
Thank you very much, Chair. No, I can only just reconfirm what you have said, that we do run an annual call for requests for travel support specifically for participants from the Global South. If you can demonstrate a clear organizing or participation role in the upcoming IGF or in prior ones, that helps your application. We will open this at some point during our Global North summer, so within the next month, but I cannot give an exact date and just encourage you to keep your eyes peeled on our website.
Thank you very much, Eleonora. Thank you. I think you've answered Omar's question, and I will be the one answering Adoli's question. It is true that we do have a physical requirement of a certain amount of speakers on site. I believe the answer is 3. Lito, others, Eleonora, please confirm. It is very clearly marked in the workshop proposal submission. And so we are not going to be accepting any fully virtual events. That being said, obviously, there has been a concern that's been articulated by Omar, and also in this question, we do understand that sometimes the timelines of travel support funding do not completely align or match up with, this workshop submission deadline and others. To the greatest extent, we will try to do our best. I think that is all that we can say at this moment because there are no additional details available. But as Eleonora has mentioned, keep your eyes peeled for that announcement. I'm sure MAG members, community members, we will be disseminating this information as widely as possible. I know that we are now 1 minute past the scheduled time for the webinar. I thank all of you for taking the time to come to this, all of you for the great questions and engagement. I thank all the MAG members, of course, for your dedication and preparation for this introductory informational webinar on the workshop proposal submissions. This will be available on the IGF website, and we'll also make the slide deck available as well. So thank you very much and have a great day wherever you are in whichever time zone you are. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye,
Chair. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Chair.
Thank you.